So you grew up with President Trump. He wasn't President Trump. He was dad, right? So was he hard nosed? Did he let you get away with stuff? Was he easy target? Did he make you, what was it like growing up? He must have set you on some sort of course. So tell us a little bit about that.
Listen, he was tough when he needed to be. But he had very high expectations. Always had very, very high expectations of his kids. Every morning, no drinking, no drugs, no smoking. And you better get good grades every morning. I was 6 years old. I didn't know what drinking was. I didn't know what drugs were. Right? I probably didn't really fathom smoking. Albeit you probably saw more people smoking back then. But and you better get good grades. He beat that into us absolutely relentlessly every day. And he was one of these guys, which was amazing when I came into kind of the business world. And he made us get jobs. There was no free time in the Trump family. Like you're going to be working on construction sites and you're going to be making minimum wage.
He was wealthy, right? Still then when you were little.
Listen, Steve, we were spoiled as hell, right? We lived in Trump Tower. We always had a warm room. We always had a full stomach, and we always went to the best schools. But there was no like free cash being passed around. It wasn't like here's $500, Eric. Go buy yourself like there was none of that. If you wanted something, congratulations, you went and you worked for it. And he was amazing in that regard. There was no Ferrari at the age of 16 years old. The exact opposite. And all I had a lot of friends that I went to school with that lived that life. They all went down terrible paths. Most of them were in rehab. I was on construction sites. I was running conduit. I was running backhoes and bulldozers.
Eric, you must have known you didn't need the money, or did you only get to spend what you made?
Only got to spend what I made. And if I wanted a fishing rod, guess what? I went and worked. So it did a couple things, Steve. First of all, it gave you appreciation for money. If you bust your butt breaking down walls with a sledgehammer, doing demo for 9-10 hours in a day, and you make $40, you're not going to go out and spend that buying a bottle of vodka. You're just not doing it. It's the pain and the sweat doing the hard manual labor was not worth the bottle of vodka, right? So in a certain way, it made you shrewd. It taught you a skill set. It taught you the building blocks of what we do every single day. Gave you great appreciation for craftsmanship and contractors. Still the people in this world I love the most. I have immense respect for them.
Your dad is that way too, right? When he's on the job site, he's talking to the workers, right?
I call him the blue collar billionaire. It's amazing. Like he likes those guys 1,000 times more than he likes any socialite in Palm Beach. And it's and they light up when they see him, right? He's kind of the epitome of the American dream, and he is the epitome of the American dream. And he'll go up to any contractor. He always went up. He has a great little story. He'd always go up to like the electrician. Hey, bud, where are we on schedule, right? And the guy, hey, man, we're really behind. Mr. Trump, we're really behind. I'm so sorry. They're not giving us the resources. They're not doing it. Then he would go up to the guy who owns the company. Where are we on schedule? Oh, sir, everything's wonderful. Everything's great. We're doing fantastic, sir. He was always really great at being able to dissect, the actual doers and not the bosses.
Okay.
And he loved them, and that's where he learned so much. And we do the same thing today. It's talk to the guys who are installing the electrical outlet. Don't talk to the boss who's sitting 500 miles away in some corporate office who will just tell you what you want to hear.
This will sound funny, but he's actually been instructive to me, not knowing it, because I've watched these clips where he's talking to construction people, and I had a job site at our own building that we're redoing it, and I don't get there that often because I work really out of my home, but it's a big building that we bought. We used to have all of our conferences there, but when I go there, I have a kick of a time talking to the different contractors. What's your opinion? What do you think we should do with that? And I, not pit one against another. I get the different opinions. And I came home. I didn't tell Doreen I learned this from Trump, but I did. But what I told Doreen is, I says, I really got a kick out of it because I asked everybody for some input that made them feel valuable. And basically, I learned that from your dad, honestly. So I want to talk about your dad as it relates to, did you grow up with him hearing anything about he hated these endless wars? Was that part of his thinking process?
I talk a lot about it in the book. I mean, I remember so many times we'd be on the plane going somewhere, and I remember a couple vividly, but there was one segment, it was done by 60 Minutes, and they literally brought a reporter into the missile silos up in North Dakota, right, the Minuteman missiles, And, the young missileer is walking them through one of our ballistic missile silos. This phone is broken. We're still using floppy disk. This hasn't worked in years. This is antiquated. And my father's sitting there and he's saying, how in the world could our military be run down like this? And by the way, let's just say it was. How stupid do you need to be to broadcast that on 60 Minutes to our enemies all over the world? Let's just say you were totally incompetent and you allowed the military to get run down like that.
Yeah.
Who is dumb enough to send a camera crew from 60 Minutes into the silos? And he would shake his head and say, these people are total idiots. I mean, he said it with George Bush. I know he's on the side of a lot of us on this in terms of being a Republican, but why are we spending $7 trillion on the Iraq war? Like, why don't we just rebuild every school in the nation? Why don't we rebuild our roads and bridges and infrastructure? As every day he watched us build a new school in Iraq or Afghanistan, and then 2 days later, some terrorist organization would take it over. We'd blow the thing up, and then we'd start rebuilding it the next day again. He couldn't believe it. He did that with education. He couldn't believe it. We're ranked 30th in the world in terms of education, and we spend 10 times the amount per pupil. And he goes, how is this possible? How can you spend 10 times the amount on something and be ranked 30th in the world? And he used to joke, the campaign, we spent 1/5 the amount of Hillary Clinton, and we won by like a wide margin. Like, isn't that what you want? Don't you want to spend the least and get the best performance?
Absolutely.
And so, yes, his entire life he would look down. I mean, he's been saying that China's been ripping us off for years. He actually started earlier in the early 90s saying that Japan was ripping the hell out of us.
Well, I watched that clip from Oprah years ago, or at least 3 or 4 years ago, where he said, are you going to run for president? No, I don't think so, but only if I had to. And I think it was that same conversation. He said, they're ripping us off. China's ripping us off. And he starts listing the countries. I mean, that had to be what, 20 or 30 years before he actually ran, was that?
That was the early 90s he was saying that. Why are we protecting Japan? Japan has plenty of money. Why are we protecting Japan? Like, what are we doing? Why do we have all our troops in Germany? Like, what are we doing? Like, Germany is incapable of protecting themselves. Why is America spending, almost 5% of its GDP to fund NATO? Whereas you have all these countries all across Europe that either haven't contributed in years or we're putting in like 1%. So we're putting in, I think it was 4.6% of the largest economy in the world, meaning our budget. And you had these countries like Germany who was putting in 1%, and they're actually near Russia, right? It was insane to him. And he's sitting there saying, how the hell are they getting away with this? Everybody's talking about free trade. I mean, this whole book is what we're talking about. Under Siege is what we're talking about here. But, everybody talks about, how dare you not have free trade? And he's sitting there saying, it's not free trade. They're tariffing all our products when we send them to Vietnam and when we send them to China. There's no Ford trucks in Vietnam, but yet we take all of their crap into our right, and we don't do a damn thing about it. It's not free trade. It's not fair trade. They're ripping us off, and we do nothing about it because we're asleep at the wheel. And so, yeah, this has been on his mind, Steve, for a very long time.